All right, everybody. Good evening. We're here for another installment of Outlandish on this beautiful evening. Today, along with me and Dondre, my name is Zack Rogers. I'm one of the hosts of this show, and then I got my co-host Dondre. Say hi to the people.
How y'all doing?
And then we got a special guest. He definitely came on Creative Perception. Now he's coming back to Outlandish. Welcome, Ant. Thank you for coming. Owner of No Cap TV, WAP Pod, and then Lux Clothing. And what else do you do, Ant? There's so many things. Anything else I missed?
It's so many things, but thanks for having me.
Yes. All right, for sure. Don, you got anything you want to say about yourself before we get into it?
No, I'm ready. I think it was a long time coming. Happy to have a guest on here to contribute to the show, get some and have the tiebreaker. That's what you're gonna be the tiebreaker. You can't take Zach's side all the time just because y'all got an affinity or whatever.
Ant never takes my side. You ain't gotta worry about that.
Nah, all right. I'm unbiased.
Unbiased is the truth. All right, so I labeled today's episode "What's Going On" because we definitely got a lot going on. So just a quick rundown for the people watching. Our show is broken down into 3 segments. We have the main topic category, so the main course, so to speak. We have Quick Strike, kind of like Foot Locker. You get a special selection of sneakers in, but you only get like 10. And then we have All Caps or No Caps, which is kind of like is it the truth or is it a lie kind of deal? So we're going to get into that. Yeah, so like I said, we got a lot to unpack today. So I appreciate y'all for being on here. All right, so say your piece, try to be brief, we don't want to overlap the thing. But for our first section, for the Let's Talk, for the main course, what are your thoughts on the Megan Thee Stallion and Torey Lanez situation? For those of you that may not know, allegedly she was shot in the foot, and it was her, Torey Lanez, her friend, and I believe a security guard. And at first, reports didn't get out, but then later, Megan Thee Stallion took it to Instagram and stated that he shot her. So what do you think this means for both of them, and the outrage that females have felt, as far as Meg not being supported and things of that nature? What are y'all thoughts on it?
I guess I can go first. I mean, I'll say it's first of all, it's crazy that people don't believe her. And she felt, and they pushed her to the point where she had to even put the kind of disclosure out there. Like you can't believe, like, she's not like, why would somebody lie about being shot or being hurt? Like, first of all. Second of all, like, the fact that people bullied her and put her in a position where she actually felt like she needed to give an answer is
great.
One of the things we need to do better as a people is just, especially when the people are victims, believe in the victims. I think lastly, I'm all against that, but I'm not on the same note. You can't just cancel Tory Lanez. I feel like I'm not saying he's innocent. He probably did some wrong, but everybody deserves redemption. Everybody deserves a second chance. And I think ultimately, I hope the situation isn't as bad as it could have been, and I hope they learn from the situation. But I'm happy she's okay, but I don't understand. I don't know how it could be okay for you to shoot a gun at somebody that period, even under any circumstance. So I can't really understand it. I just hope we can learn from it and grow. And, like, again, everybody deserves a shot at redemption. So that's my little 2 cents on it.
And where we at with it?
I'm gonna first say I send my prayers with you hear me, right?
Yeah, we hear you.
I'm gonna send my prayers with Megan Thee Stallion. But I gotta first say, like, Tory Lanez is canceled in my eyes. It's just like,
right.
Just as a man, it's like you just shooting a female. It's just how did we get to that situation? Even if y'all in a relationship, it's just 10 times even worse. It's just like, it's just crazy. Right. You just can't listen to the music the same. That's all.
Yeah, no, on the real, I would have to agree. Like, well, I don't know if I could say canceled because I was never really a Tory Lanez fan. Like, I just realized what Chicks Tapes was, like, last fall. It was amazing. It was pretty cool. Don't get me wrong, but, like, I just feel, I'm not gonna lie, he's talented, but, like, I'm a huge Megan Thee Stallion fan. How do you shoot somebody in their foot first and foremost, and then I don't care.
In her foot, twice. He shot her twice.
I mean, I don't. Hey, look, I have
feel
no idea. I have no
It's
no
like you
clue.
shooting at a person and saying, "Oh, I think I need to do it again because you didn't hear me the first time." That's what
exactly.
happened,
Like,
right?
I just,
Yo.
yeah, like I just don't feel like he's wrong, and like I don't really want to hear what he has to say, but I do understand the sentiment of Dondre. Like, you don't cancel him. Like, everybody deserves a chance for redemption, but it's like he's not even trying to come out and like address it or like apologize or nothing. Like, it's like Bun B said, she's literally out in California by herself. Her mom died, and I want to say she lost one of her grandparents earlier, so she literally
Yeah,
has
she been
nobody.
going through it.
And it doesn't matter what they were arguing about. It doesn't matter. Black women are undervalued in America, period. They're not even like, it's unfortunately they're viewed as a third or fourth class citizen, and it's wrong. And I feel like we as men, we don't protect, not every single man, but we get categorized because we are men. Black men, we don't protect our black women. And it's like, you think of Michelet, you think of Sarah Bartman, you think of Elaine Brown from Civil Rights. Like, we don't protect, but if we don't have them, we're not where we are right now. And I really do feel bad for Megan Thee Stallion. And all these people that are second guessing it, I kind of went off on Twitter and I was like, people can fall down a flight of steps forward and backward, but like, she deserves the benefit of the doubt. We give everybody else the benefit of the doubt.
Wrong,
like,
wrong is wrong.
Yeah, like dudes was, and I'm not gonna lie, it's bad, but like when you think about it, you remember the story where Gucci Man pushed somebody out the car? People was applauding that. Like, we have to do better.
Wilding.
Like, yeah, we have to do better. I mean, I can't cancel Tory Lanez because I was never really a fan, but he's wrong. And like, we need to stand behind Megan Thee Stallion. So that's where I see it. But like,
that's the hard part. Well,
right,
that's the hard part though, where I'm like, a couple of things. Like, I feel like it's two things. Like, I think it's can two things be right? Like that's what I'm trying to ask in the question. Can two things be right?
What did he do right?
No, I'm saying not two things be right.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, like, can he deserve redemption and not be canceled? But then also in that same token, can we believe Megan Thee Stallion? Like, is this what I'm saying? Like, is that when I say two things, can two things be right? Like, does it have to be like so one or the other? Like,
what can he say? What can he say that can make you think he deserves redemption?
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying this on you get redemption on this. Like, I'm saying you as a whole. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm saying you as a person. Like, you make a pitfall, a terrible mistake. That's clearly what you did. Like, I can't. There's no way. There's nothing you could say to y'all point that's gonna be like, oh, it's all good. Like, she did this. I'm like, no,
it's
like,
not here.
You wilding. Like, ain't no way around that. Like, you wilding. But it's also like, his life isn't over. You know what I'm saying? Like, his life is not over.
Oh yeah, I agree.
And that's why I'm like, that's why I feel like the whole cancel thing. Like, can he? And I say redemption in terms of like going forward. What is there? You know what I'm saying? Like, going forward, what is there next for him? So that's why I say that. That's a good point though, and that's a good question. That was a really good question.
I think regardless of the cancel, I mean like music industry cancel of like you don't get the highlight features as of a Meek Mill or someone of that caliber anymore. That's what I meant.
I would agree with that, but my thing is I believe Megan because you got to realize everything, and we're going to talk about it later in a different perspective, but everything that's happening socially and like politically in our world, not even politically, just socially, right, correct. Everything that's happening, she could have told on him that night, but let's say something would have happened and the police, like there could have been a police situation and she was legitimately protecting his life. His career, I don't really care about his career. I mean, I'm sure he'll figure it out, but like she was protecting him, and I do understand the notion of everything that's happening with black men. I understand why she wouldn't want to speak out, but I do believe her because somebody with her stature, I just don't find her lying about getting shot in the foot twice. And I don't think she's gonna shoot herself in the foot twice. It just doesn't add up, and he's yet to say anything. Yet to say anything.
Can he say anything though too? Because it's an open case.
Yeah, he can apologize.
He shouldn't say anything at this point.
You can't say anything.
Yeah.
Because it's an open case. Like, not to. I'm saying like that's one, but that's where I'm coming from in terms of like the music features too. Like, you make a mistake. Like, he did this. You're right. Cool. You need to pay the piper. You need to grow from this.
Right.
Should we give him that chance to grow from it? And that's why I'm like, everybody deserves that.
I
don't think we can until we. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's like the actions. It's like if he just comes straight after this and start making music,
then I can't exactly. Right. I can't mess with you. But like, you start you go through your you pay your dues. You go through. You apologize whenever at some point you can. You figure out. You first of all you go to some gun safety classes and don't even have a gun. Period. Like what you got a gun for in the first place? Like all that. You do
Before
you
he
go
goes
through
to
that
gun safety, he needs to go to domestic violence therapy
that
or
too.
whatever. Like, bro, and then
yeah.
I mean, I don't think any charges were pressed. I don't think there's an open case. Nothing, like, you know what I'm saying? Nothing's been confirmed. But I mean, I do understand the sentiment. He has to protect himself legally, but I just don't see why Megan Thee Stallion would lie about it. And I need, like y'all said, it depends on his actions after this. But he need to like, he got to man up on this one. Like,
you got to eat it, and it's all how you eat it. You did it.
That's for sure.
Right. All right. So moving on, in a similar vein, kind of, you know, we've seen it from rappers, we've seen it from social media posts, campaigns. People not arresting the killers of Breonna Taylor. And then we had Attorney General Daniel Cameron. He got up on the Republican conference and he uttered her name maybe once or twice. And he's been very reluctant to really open the case when there's been several things. What more can we do to press it to make it an importance? Because I haven't watched any of the Republican conference.
The RNC?
Yeah, that. I haven't watched any of it. I've seen highlights and I just turned it off. But it's just like, they're really not, well, let's not worry about them. My question is, or what are your thoughts on the Breonna Taylor? Do we have to, like, what can we do to constantly push it? Like, again, we have protecting our sisters, protecting Black women, or the essence of or soul of, if she's no longer here. What do we have to do? Like, we've lost Sandra Bland, women like that. Like, the list goes on and on.
Mm-hmm. I can't remember the young woman's name who was in Tallahassee, the FAMU student. Oh man, I cannot remember the young woman's name for the life of me right now. But it starts
the
with
one
a
who was
T,
kidnapped.
Yeah, her. And I cannot remember her name.
Salou or something like that. I don't want to mispronounce her name, but
yeah,
I know you're talking about.
I'm like, it's one of those where you have to continue to bring the name up, and that should be the first name. And the first name we kind of bring up, in my opinion. As far as Daniel Cameron, he literally out here. He a lost
Uncle
child.
Rucker.
He a lost boy. He a lost boy. That's one of those where I'm like, now if we want to cancel somebody, he earned that one. He didn't earn that cancel.
For sure.
That's you a repeat offender. Like you earned that. You a grown ass man. You a repeat offender. You earned that. I think as far as what can we do, continue to bring her name up and bring those names up first.
Right.
Because that's a double minority. Not only are you Black, but you're a Black woman, and we don't protect Black women. I think this is a case in point when we need to bring up when having the conversations internally about how we don't protect our Black women. Even Daniel Cameron, even if you are a Republican or whatever it is, that's a Black. That could be your sister. That could be your auntie, your mom,
your mother,
whoever. Like,
man.
And that's what they mean. And this is a prime example when that conversation comes up. So I think this is one we need to continue. We need to continue to bring the name up, bring it up first. That we want justice for and demand it, and then ultimately when we try to educate other individuals, especially like man to man or man to man, and we talk about not protecting Black, this is a prime case in point of just that, not protecting Black women. So that's why I think we could do. But I'm not I would love to hear y'all's opinion.
I'm more just frustrated. I actually did see the Republican convention, and just like you could just see how much of a point it is to them about Black Lives Matter, or even just the racial tension that's going on in America right now, because most of their like opinions or problems they was bringing up is the COVID-19 attack and just the leadership of Biden and his running mate. I'm not trying to just put down like just his running mate, but they treat her as less of a woman of their degree is some sort. If you hear them talk of her as this woman and that woman and Miss Harris and she's such and such, and it's just like you just show how much you respect Black women in America and how much you show respect to Black people. And it's just a frustration of even with the Milwaukee, not in Milwaukee, but in Kenosha. It's just that situation just adds on. It's just like to be young. It's just like I see more of this recent, just growing up, and it's more of an upbringing for me.
Right, and I think the frustration comes from me was she was an EMT, like she was doing a social service for people like in the same field, not the same, obviously different degrees of what you're doing as far as like a doctor, a pediatrician, a police officer, fireman. She was an EMT. She was a first responder to certain things, and y'all didn't even treat her as such or give her the proper response as such. Like it just baffles me. Okay.
You breaking the house like you robbing them.
Right.
What you think somebody you didn't say police and nothing, so people would shoot back.
And we have an amendment to protect us from that, from illegal. Like I don't understand.
What I'm trying to also understand is like even if there is some law that is saying that is okay, change the law. Like, are we not able to just sit here and say wrong is wrong? Like, this is the part where I start to get frustrated in general. Like Ant says, just like this is not rocket science. Wrong is wrong.
Right.
Like,
not.
What else is there to do? Like, wrong is wrong. Do something. Like, I think also what makes it even worse is that there's not even an attempt to do anything. Like,
not at all.
There's no firing. There's not even a lesser like a trespassing or a wrongful termination. I don't know. I'm
probable
almost
cause.
certain that
they use probable cause to any effect to utilize that as, oh, this is why we have to come in. Like I think of Sandra Bland and the video. I don't care what anybody says. Was she arguing with the police officer? Yes, but she was having a conversation about her rights, and she knew the rights, and the police officer was frustrated because he couldn't take that right from her that she knew. And it's just like, I don't care how you slice it. If somebody goes to jail, your job as a correctional officer, a guard, sheriff, whatever, is to protect that person while they're in your jurisdiction. And you mean to tell me that when y'all quote unquote said that she hung herself, I don't think she did. It just baffles me. Like, and again, we're talking about Black women. Like, had that been a man, it would have been reacted differently. Or like, who was the young man who was a Michigan State swimmer, Caucasian male, and he said his lawyer pleaded or defended him, saying that jail wouldn't be good for his mental, and he got out after he raped somebody behind the dumpster, was unconscious. Stuff like that.
I know what you're talking about. I don't know his name, but I know
like
the case. He said jail would not. They said jail would ruin his future and it's not suitable for him.
And he got out.
I'm like, ruin your future? Which like, well,
no, you ruined your future.
You did that,
right?
You did that on your own.
I don't understand.
It's called white privilege, right there. That's best.
White privilege.
It's a thing. It's out here. It's very strong.
I didn't recognize that until after college. That's all you want to say. Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah.
Not funny story. No, it is funny. I'm working at Walmart in Towson. Anybody who lived in Baltimore went to Towson, Loyola, Morgan, Notre Dame, anywhere around that Coffin, and you go to the Towson Walmart from 2009 to 2013. Everybody knows that wasn't necessarily the best Walmart. I was working with this young lady named Kim. She went to Morgan too, and she said, she was Jamaican. She said, racism doesn't exist. And I said, it does. It's just hidden well. We were still in our Obama golden years.
Different.
And this, they hide it, they hid it back then. Now Trump makes it socially acceptable. So this one guy, he came up to the counter and he looked at her funny. And then he looked at her and he was like, okay. And then he put the money on the counter and he slid it. And she was like, what? So she slid it back and he picked it up and he put it back on there and slid it to her again. And she was like, oh my God, he was so rude and disrespectful to me. Now, granted, some people be like, well, how do you know that's racism? But I feel like if you're gazing at somebody and you're looking at them and you make a facial expression and then you do that, like, it's just certain things to it. But it's just, like y'all said, white privilege is just real. Like, but if you say something back, you're rude, you're disrespectful. Like, what?
I'm going to use this word. It's like a caviar to how they show their racism sometimes. And you can peep it through subtle stuff that they do. Like that little just not trying to hand you that dollar to your hand to show you that I'm not going to hand you money personally. Like
we're not on the same level.
But I bet you if I drop your TV, you want a refund though. Like I don't understand that.
The assumption of things too, like whenever Like since I do work at Under Armour, the assumption that I don't work corporate, like even if I when I'm in the store and I'm buying something from the and they ask me for my badge and they ask me like if I know my number and I show them my badge, the assumption, like a microaggression, is the same thing when they're saying like I'll get a response, oh, I didn't know they gave store employees badges. You assumed I was a store employee. I never
You're a whole
said
corporate
I was.
person. You're a whole corporate.
The assumption is the exact exactly what we're talking about.
It's like you so little minded that this guy can only be a store employee.
He can only be that.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's like when you're working in retail. It's like when I used to work in retail, and granted, a few of the times that happened to me, I was working at that place of employment, but I was not in my uniform. I'll be in short Crocs and a white T-shirt. Excuse me, sir, do you work here? Ma'am, I'm wearing Crocs. How? Ma'am, what store do you know? I know people are getting a lot more liberal with their employees for where you work at, but I've never seen anybody wear ball shorts and Crocs and a white tee.
I tell you, never wear a red shirt to Target. Just never.
Right.
Facts.
Never.
You fit the description, Zach. That's what the cop said. You fit the description.
Right. That's why when they be riding up on me, I ride real slow. You're not getting me today. I'm about to say I get paranoid. I don't really like to drive at night no more. But it's really sad that it's come to that. So to sum it up, Dondre, you said we just need to keep bringing the names. Keep bringing the names.
You gotta keep bringing the name up and keep bringing it up first.
All right. And what you think we need to do in order to protect our black and brown sisters, and just be a better service?
Definitely continue the name, but I always say like once you continue with the name, you gotta change your actions. It's like say like if you scream Black Lives Matter, you shouldn't beef or have an op that's a black person. It's like that's an oxymoron. So that's all.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say my thing is the last thing before we transition to the next thing, we gotta check our friends too. Because we be so quick to be like, you shouldn't treat black women like that, but we would let our friends go rampant. And then those are uncomfortable conversations that you have to have with your friends. And I've had some of those conversations. I mean, I'm not friends with some of those people, but some of them I am. And they're like, nah, you tripping. But then when they really think about it, they're like, oh, yeah, that could be my sister. Because everybody want to be mad when it's their sister or if it's their little sister. But we can't have that mindset like, oh, wait till I have a daughter or wait till one of my sisters come in. Nah, man, you got to act like you already have as such, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. I mean, I feel like we're gonna have things to come. So, we gotta keep it moving. Jacob Blake. This was a tough one to watch. I was scrolling on Instagram. This is in Wisconsin, and the gentleman was walking away and going to his car to check on his son, and a police officer walked up on him and his partner and shot him in the back 7 times. And some people on the opposition are still trying to justify that. And you just can't. What are y'all thoughts on the Jacob Blake, which caused, a lot of uproar and protest, of course, and then even major sports, which we'll talk about later. What are y'all thoughts on Jacob Blake?
Manslaughter.
Right. It's crazy. It was sick to watch. And the thing that's different for me, he's alive. So it's different. So I'm wondering, first off, I'm wondering, like, once he feels comfortable enough to talk, like, this is the first time where we had a eyewitness testimony from the actual person. But it's sick. It's sick to me. Like, I don't care what anybody says. The cops could have feared for their lives or whatever the case may be. But you walked around the car and you pulled on his shirt and then you shot him. You have ample time to pull out your taser.
There's so many ways to take him down. So many ways to take him down if that was the case.
It's one guy.
7 shots at that to unarmed man.
7.
Remember Stephen A. Smith, who I've been very critical on. I always give him his props, but I'm always critical on. He said something he brought something up. I mean, I thought about it too, but to hear him say it on national TV made me super excited. Or not excited, but happy. The gentleman that went into the South Carolina church and he shot all the black worshipers that night, and they arrested him without shooting him, and then they took him to Burger King, or they bought him Burger King. So y'all weren't scared of him. And then the gentleman, the 17-year-old that shot 2 protesters, and 2 were dead and 1 was injured. No hostile arrest, wasn't shot, wasn't hurt. it's sick, but I just think it's gonna be a ripple effect. But I'm interested to hear y'all topic on it.
I don't really have much. I'm be honest. I don't have much to say because I don't think there's like I'm out of loss for words, and I'm not really sure what else there needs to be said when you have like when you can see it. Like, what do we talk like? And that's my first thing. I think the only commentary I have that has really been most troubling, and this might be people disagree with this, was what was most troubling here in the I think it's Kennesaw or Kenna whatever,
something like that.
Kennesaw, where the protests were that night is the police chief stepped into the mic and having the nerve to say, essentially, I'm paraphrasing, everybody was out past curfew. The 17-year-old the young man, he said young man, he didn't say 17, he's 17, he's a minor.
No, he a man today.
Sorry. I mean, facts. But the young man who went out there with the AR-15 was out there trying to resolve conflict, and unfortunately it did result in 2 people dying. And then he doubles down and also says, but everybody was out past curfew. And my only response to that is, we talking about the curfew,
right?
Not the murder, not the 2 murders, not the actual incident that caused the whole problem in the first place, and the root cause of this specific issue, meaning shooting Jacob Blake 7 times. We're not talking about none of that. We talking about the curfew.
Right.
Everybody was out past curfew.
Right.
And that's the only thing that I'm just kind of like, how in there's in my mind there's nothing you can do with that. You can't build with that. There's nothing that can be done with him anywhere remotely in any kind of law enforcement, period.
Right.
When you have that kind of a mindset and that kind of a person who can see so much wrong and jumps, and people have lost lives and are injured, and not to mention a young man has wrecked his own entire life. When you skip all those different items and you identify the curfew, and that's what you say to the press in a microphone, there's no, we over here talking about math and you over here talking about, and you trying to talk English, and you over here talking about art class, and we in math class. You're not even in the same, we can't even do anything with you. So that's the most troubling. After that, I just leave it alone because I don't really know, like, there's nothing.
That's real.
I don't have nothing else to say. Like,
that's real. And what you thinking?
You know, I come from a city that was during that protesting like a couple months ago, the rallies and the crazy attacks against the police. My city was one of those cities, and I know how the cause and the effect and the aftermath going to be. And the simple thing is just like, it's a lot of people that come outside of their states that agitate the peaceful stuff and cause it to turn violent sometimes, right? But if the chief, like, that's the chief police, right? If he's not holding his own police accountable for what they did, and he's holding accountability on the civilians, as in you was out past your curfew, so whatever happened, then that's just a base off the government that's up there. It's like that's what type of mandate they run up there. You can basically see that from outside looking in. And I just pray. I honestly just pray. I don't know what else to do. It's just like, I don't know what else to do.
That's all you can do, and I'll just leave it at that. Like, definitely keep the prayers and the energy. I noticed I saw DeAndre posting it a lot. Like, even though this hurts, we have to still keep going. I think one thing that stands out to me when I'm looking at the Republican conference or convention, you see the people gloating and fantasizing like how they're protecting themselves with their rifles, and it just shows me the Second Amendment only applies to white people. Like, it really does. Like, it only applies to white people. So it's just
It doesn't even have to be the amendment. You could just be a minor.
Right.
And have a
right.
weapon.
In the NRA, money. I mean, about money. It's all about money. It's all about guns. It's just it's sad. So
Just as a breaking news, I just got notification from
breaking
CNN.
news on Outlandish. Go ahead.
Jacob Blake is actually handcuffed to his his hospital
I
bed.
just saw that. That's
Paralyzed?
crazy to me.
He is
Yeah.
handcuffed to his hospital bed.
Paralyzed?
Paralyzed. Right.
He is
It's
paralyzed.
like you can't run. What are you?
Like that's just like, I understand you have your police officer duties, but he can't walk anywhere. Like, he's paralyzed because of the gunshots. It's
So
gonna
we
be
are
interesting.
animals. They
Right.
treat us like animals. That's all that means.
Right. I'm at a loss for words for that one.
I don't know what else to say.
All we can do is stay lifted in prayer and positives and love and vibes, and just keep bringing attention to the cause. So after the Jacob Blake shooting, the NBA, they created the bubble, and the WNBA, the NBA, they were one of the first major sports leagues to like come back. I mean, yeah, you got UFC and you got the MLB was kind of, but as far as like constant publicity and things like that, the NBA and the WNBA were the first two. So after the Jacob Blake, a few days later, it first started out with the Milwaukee Bucks. They decided not to show up as they had to play the Orlando Magic. And then it became a domino effect. Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook were seen in the hallway. A lot of people are saying that talk may have led to the OKC Rockets canceling theirs. And then it led to, you've seen the LeBron tweets, the frustration in Los Angeles. The Lakers and Portland canceled. Then the WNBA canceled. They had like the Mystics and the Dream Plan, Sparks, Lynx, Sun Mercury. And then the MLB, the Reds, the Brewers, the Mariners, Padres. Everybody canceled essentially. So Milwaukee leading the charge because everything happened in their home state. How did you feel, especially as it's whatever. How did you feel as a black man seeing that? And then as a sports fan seeing that, especially after we've been deprived of sports, like, how did you feel after seeing that? Like, when you think of like the Jim Brown, the 1968 Olympics, the Black Salute, John Carlos, Tommy Smith. How did you feel about that? Seeing that now, like.
I mean, go ahead.
I was gonna say I just want to add one more person that walked out. I want to shout out Kenny Smith, man.
Yes, Kenny Smith did.
For him walking out like that was just crazy, also. But you get finished, bro. I'm sorry.
No, you good. I think, and if we had a name, we gotta add Naomi Osaka. Gotta add her. But anyway, I think so this one sound crazy, but I was kind of happy to see him do it, but I'm disappointed in the same vein.
Say more.
Because you can't make a move like that and then not, and then come back and play within 2 weeks. Because now you've lost power. I'm hope after now that we've gotten news that they're going to resume the playoffs. In my mind, it's a blip. That's an outlier.
The
way you get this to move is you protest until you get those owners, and until you either do one or two things. Either the money starts to get dry from the TV deals, and and then also, side note, the culture starts to get dry from a content perspective, because we can be completely honest, basketball pretty much drives almost all pop culture, and all sports follow basketball in terms of pop culture. And I'm a baseball fan, but that's just facts. It is what it is. So I think there's either you do one or two things. Either you protest until the TV money dries up, or you protest until the owners are in alliance with you. And when I say the owners are in alliance with you, they reach in their phone, they call the local government, the same government they work with to get them the stadiums built,
to get Meek Mill out.
The same government that works to get Meek Mill out, the same government the same local legislative that you call to get public funding to build your stadiums. That's who you, until they make that phone call and they make some change, we're not playing. And if they come back and they play, if they come back and none of those two options are done, it was a waste. It was for naught. It was in vain. It delays the inevitable as well.
Okay.
It puts off change a certain amount of time. So I was proud to see it happen because their players are starting to realize the power they have. But I think ultimately it's gonna be it's gonna lose. It's not gonna be as monumental as it could be if it was more, if they continue to stay in the solidarity and stay and protest until we get legislative change.
Right. And what you think?
I definitely agree with you. It's not gonna hold the weight as much if you just bringing back the game this weekend. It's just like you giving the fans, you giving everybody, the donors, what they want. And I absolutely believe that the best way would be to hold out on all the revenue, even with the money that they bet, all that sports betting money, hold that until even the end of the year, even till after elections. I mean, if you can really force it, why not force it if you want a better tomorrow?
You could even force the owners, require your stadium be a voter registration.
Yeah, I heard they doing that in Milwaukee too.
For certain locations, a part of LeBron James is more than a vote. But hey, look, LeBron James, don't stop putting. We don't need you to do that work. Dan Snyder, Mark Cuban, you with us? Open for voter registration. Call the governor. Call the
Pat Riley too.
Call the state senator, Pat Riley. Excuse
me.
The
president, but he the
Bill.
That's
the. What you mean? I mean, the New York Knicks owner. You really think? Come on now.
Well, he on his way out, but go ahead.
True, but my whole point is they could do it.
Right? No, I agree.
They could have put so much power on it that they could have changed the music industry, where like rappers say, "Hey, I'm not giving you no music until these owners of these record labels and big industries, Interscopes and Atlantic, start putting up some money in these countries. I'm not countries, but cities that they in and states that they in. I mean, yeah, it can be very empowerment for the people, but it's now just a blimp. It's a social media blimp.
I agree. For me, I was proud, like Dondre, like you both spoke about. I do think it took a major. The power shifted after they were like, we're going to continue the playoffs. But one thing that I wasn't surprised, but the one thing that it kind of took me for a loop. LeBron and the Clippers and the Lakers were the only ones that voted to not play. Everybody else who didn't have a rat's chance to win the title wanted to still play. Like, and I get it, but I wasn't surprised that LeBron didn't want, and actually I kind of was. I was, but I wasn't, because I know he wants to get that fourth ring. But for him and the Lakers, the two teams that we talked about winning, for them to say, nah, we'll wait, we won't play. And then I feel like they were trying to do the right thing, but the rest of you only got 2 votes between the two teams. And I agree with y'all. I think it was a huge power move, but then after they said they were going to play the next day, even if y'all would have waited a week or two, that still would have drew more attention and garnered more time. But like y'all said, it went down the drain. And like, I'm sitting here watching the NFL, and they talking about canceling practices. I'm not impressed. Y'all cancel practices on the regular. I'm not impressed with that.
We talk about practice?
Right, exactly.
Right.
But my thing is, I have to give a shout out to the WNBA, though. I don't care what nobody says. The WNBA has been standing up for social justice issues since their inception in '97. And obviously they have to, because they're women and they get disregarded and they get slighted a lot. And it's just really interesting. Maya Moore didn't play 2 seasons and she got someone out of jail. She's won more titles than 60% of the NBA players in the league.
She's won more titles of all time.
Exactly. And it's just like they continue to do it and be at the forefront, and they make more impact, and they don't get as much exposure as they should compared to the NBA. And it's just like, I get it. Y'all have to have your money if you're the NBA, but it's like something got to give. Like, so I just want to shout out the WNBA because they have a shortened season too. and they before the NBA said that they were going to resume, they had already said that they weren't playing today. I mean, I don't know if they're coming back, but I just want to give a shout out to the WNBA. Like you got the Maya Moores, you got the Breonna Stewart,
Candace Parker.
Candace Parker. You got the Renee Montgomerys, the Tasha Clouds who sat out. Like they're about
Diana
they're about their
Taurasi.
life. Yeah, Diana Taurasi. You got the people. They're really about their life. Like
buckets.
It baffles me.
But Zach, let me ask you this question about the LA teams. It's kind of weird that that the Laker teams, well, not the Laker teams, the Los Angeles teams, they both stood up to not continue the season. You think that's based off the racial violence that's always happening in like LA with like Rodney King and just the prolonged years? You think that's why they stood more with the season, or?
I do. I think that they're the major markets and they know that. And then I also think of the demographics in California. No matter what side of the tracks, the Clippers and everybody jokes about who has home court when we know the Lakers always have home court, but it's neither here nor there. But I think it is because of where they are, the platform, their market that they're in, and it goes on a lot of times. You're talking about. I went out for work last year. I went out to Compton, South Central. Those aren't the hoods anymore. They're gentrified. Like, don't get me wrong, you still go in some bad areas at the wrong time. You might run into something you don't want to. But like, everything is changing and they're losing their way. If anybody's watched the last season, The Last Chance U, Inglewood, Oakland, those are all gentrified now. Like, I believe they stood up because of everything that's going on specifically. And then when you think about all the other non-major market teams, like, all right, Miami, people get stuck with the luxury life. So, they're ignoring everything that may happen. Wisconsin, that's a small area. Now this happens, so they have to make a stance. Orlando, people don't seem past Mickey Mouse. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's Phoenix. Like, it's just, I do believe it's because the two Los Angeles teams are bigger markets.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Any wrap up things? We can get through the rest.
No, I think I'm good. I think I've said everything I want to say. I think we hit some good points.
We're not gonna get you fired, Andre. I promise. We're not gonna get you fired. All right.
It is what it is.
No, it's not. I'm playing. All right. All right. Anything else you want to say, Ant?
No, I'm good.
All right. Good conversation. All right. That was kind of a dark 3 subjects, but had to be tackled. We're getting out of sports. Me and Dondre, we talked about that. We see podcasts like yours and other people that have really good prolific podcasts, and we want to, we can talk. We black men. We know more than sports. So we're gonna go to our quick strike, right? So quick strike kind of being like Foot Locker, only get 10 pair of Jordan 10s. You gotta get them out. So we kind of already touched on it, so I'm gonna kind of remix the question again. So I'm pretty sure we already know the answer, but so skipping 1 or 2 games, basically everybody canceling a line of games. That's not gonna long term. That's not really gonna be effective, right? And you're. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, right. I was just saying, right. I was agreeing.
Okay. All right. Agree. All right. So, do you see COVID being near to an end, especially with everybody like with you don't? It's our new norm.
We're gonna be here for a minute. We're gonna be here till at least February.
February. Okay. Entrepreneurship is back. True or false? I'm saying.
It never left. I think this is like, I think for COVID is really it's giving people a lot of time to do the self work, and I think part of that self work for a lot of people is starting to do those things they always wanted to do. And I think that's where you're gonna get a lot of the actual growth and new ideas and experiences because people got time to do it. Especially as it gets cold. It's about to get cold outside. People not going outside as it is. It's gonna be dark at 7, and that's gonna really encourage it. I think people are gonna start getting into their crafts more, and I think that's where entrepreneurship is really gonna start to prosper. So that's my 2 cents. I think that's gonna get that's a benefit of COVID. So
yeah,
I'll definitely say the same. Definitely back. Especially like these 2 months, 3 months is like the best months for entrepreneurs because those Christmas months is coming up and it's just holiday season. So, it's definitely a great season for entrepreneurs.
Right. I wish I had the Gucci man saying holiday season. All right. All right. Next one. So during the pandemic, What was your favorite docu-series or documentary when we talk about Last Dance, when we talk about the Rough Rider Chronicles, when we talk about the No Limit Chronicles? There was so much good there were so many documentaries that came out where we all everybody got on social media and just talked about it. What was your favorite one? Really quick.
I had to say The Last Dance because that was so detailed. It was just super detailed. Like hearing the stories of how Michael Jordan would create fake conversations.
Fake personalities.
Fake personalities and fake conversations with other players. Like, he came up to me, he told me good game after he dropped 35. And he's like, you really said that to him? Like, no, I ain't saying nothing to him. Like that, it just, to me, is great because then also tying into the growing up, being in the shoes and sneakers and and me really believing that this man played with the flu. Like, no, you ain't played with the flu, bro. You had food poisoning. Like,
they found the pizza guy for that. Who did that, right?
They probably did. They found.
And they interviewed him.
Clearly, we can do what we want to do around here these days, but we can't get to arrest the cops that killed Breonna Taylor. But that's a different story.
Hello, holiday season. And what you think?
Outside of Last Dance, the Jeffrey Epstein documentary.
Oh, okay.
It's fire.
Filthy Rich on Netflix. Oh, that joint crazy. Yo.
Okay.
White people get over with stuff that black people could never. That's all I gotta say.
I forgot about what's the one with the tiger.
I haven't seen it yet.
What's the one with the tiger? Carolyn and them?
Tiger King. You talk about
Tiger King. That's Tiger King. This the one that was with Trump. This the guy that
right. That was a documentary about white people snitching on white people, but they don't get tagged with all the craziness like we would have if it was a black documentary. But that's neither here nor there. Okay, I'm gonna say for me it was No Limit. I knew about Master P's upbringing and I knew him musically, but I did not know that detailed amount about his life story. And God really saved him when that part when he go in the club and he about to shoot this guy and the gun jammed 3 times. Bro, God was like, no, bro, I'm gonna save you, but free C murder. But I mean,
I heard some of these stories was lies.
Oh,
I don't want to be that guy, but I heard some stories they were saying.
Don't have nobody come
to
me from the Calio project, bro. No, bro.
I'm just saying. It's a real beef with Master P right now. You might not know, but Master P, he got some problems.
Everybody off, Ant. Oh God.
He said the bank closed.
He did. I saw that. He lying though. One of them got that ATM card he ain't shut off yet. All right, last section. All caps or no caps. So you're gonna respond to the question with the answer all caps or no caps. All caps meaning a lie. No caps meaning the truth. Are the reactions to the recent killings and events a sign of a sign of restoration for our future? So how everybody's responding to those things, like the protests, getting legislation changed, driving votes, all that. You think we finally hit a hump, to at least go in the right direction for change?
I think so. When we go back outside, everything's gonna be different.
All right.
Some people are gonna see me for being a black man more than before we came inside. Yeah. So I think so. I think it's a turning point because when we go back outside, it's not under the covers no more.
Right. Okay. Man.
I'm gonna say no cap. I think it's we almost at the tip, but it's still something that's gonna really be the last straw. This is enough, and it's I feel like it's gonna happen soon.
All right. So we hear a lot of people. So both of y'all going no cap. All right. So for the second one, it's kind of a build off of the first one. You hear a lot of people say, in order for Killer Mike has said it, but he said it responsibly. He said you don't hurt anybody, you don't do anything to anybody. But he was saying, and I've heard other people say it too, in order for us to really change America, we have to burn everything that black people burnt down. Y'all agree with that notion? This is not an attempt at piracy. This is not an attempt at pyro. This is just conversation.
I'm saying cap. Only reason I'm saying that's cap is because the people usually burning stuff up aren't protesters. So if you really want to go,
true. I didn't think about that. That's true.
The guy that was causing most of the issues, the people who's causing most of the issues aren't real protesters. They're people trying to stir the pot and looters. Like they're not protesters. Like let's be real. I don't think everybody can sit here and say that's wrong. So they're not protesters. They're looters. That's not the same thing. So I'm gonna say cap.
All right, all caps. All right, Ant.
Same, probably all caps.
Yeah. All right, all caps. All right, yeah, I'm gonna go with all caps on that too. I think the best retaliation again is legislation, and then not buying stuff and really being about that life. Like you could. I mean, it'll take a while for you to shut down Walmart, but just imagine if we didn't shop at Walmart for 6 months. No, Black people and Latinas, Asians, Indians. Imagine if we didn't shop at Walmart for 6 months. They'd be hurt. They'd still be open, but they'd be hurt. Long. Right. All right, last one of the day. The NFL 2020-21 season will be canceled.
Will be canceled?
They're not playing this year. They're not playing this season.
Oh, that's cap. That's all cap. That's all cap. They're gonna fight. They're gonna get that money. That they don't care. That league gonna put on. They put out replacement players.
Yeah, you're right.
They gonna find. They gonna get. They don't care. Like that's gonna happen. I don't think it's right, but that's all cap. They gonna get that check.
I'm gonna be that guy that say at this point we need to just go right to virtual reality and start virtual reality and games, and that's how they gonna just sell it out. That's all they need to do.
I'm gonna be that guy, y'all. I'm gonna be that guy. It's gonna be canceled. We're almost at 100 players who have tested positive for COVID for NFL. Then I think the Black Stars seeing the NBA, they're like, oh, we can't go out like this. And then most teams, the NFL gets their money from fans, ticket sales, concession stands, and almost five or six teams have said that they don't want fans. Of course, my Vikings because they're responsible. But teams have said that they don't want fans in the stands. You're not keeping that up. And then the teams that will have fans in the stands, it's going to be a select few. But again, you thinking about the yelling, the spitting, the germs, and everything. All it takes is one fan to get sick and then somehow trickle down to the field. We canceling. It's going to be canceled. Well, either way, I'm not watching it either way. But still, I'm about to say because these owners.
I won't be tuning in.
Yeah, I'm about to say these owners have taken it to a whole nother level. Like I'm good on NFL, but I am gonna get mad though. Is that wrong? Maybe I'm not gonna get mad.
Yes,
I don't know, but
that's wrong.
All right,
let me ask everyone a question. Anybody 2K fans here?
Who?
2K? Lightly.
Who?
2K fans.
Oh, 2K. Oh, yeah, of course.
Why? You know they moved it up this year, right?
Yeah.
September, right?
Like next week.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I ain't getting mad, man. You gotta make.
I heard about that.
Executive decision.
Yeah, I just was asking. I don't think it's
it
gonna
don't
be
make
good
sense,
though.
It does.
I feel like.
Nah. It does, but they're still updating the roster on 2K. The one that's out now, 2K20. They still updating.
Yeah, but you got to remember too, the season for they're not going to start the season in the fall until probably like Christmas.
Oh, you're right.
So that's why I was saying like that's why I'm saying like if they sit out, like the ramifications of them sitting out are so big because it pushes everything back, and yeah, it pushes everything back. People didn't think about it, but 2K the next season gets pushed back, which is pushing back that money. So it's not gonna be. It's gonna have collateral damage, and the only way they would even be able to do that and have a full regular season start on time is if they were able to agree with the players.
Right.
Another thing for you, because I know usually with basketball sneakers, they start their sneakers in the beginning of the season. So it got pushed back too. Now everything is.
Yeah.
So it would be so a lot of things would get pushed back. That's why I was saying that like they're starting to realize like if they don't play that like then everything like a bit like if you stop playing, think of it this way: every day they don't play, think of it like everything gets pushed out maybe 2 days. So if you don't play for a whole month, you just pushed everything out a whole 2.5 months.
Right. I ain't think about it like that.
Definitely crazy.
Everything like, but I'll leave it at that.
Dang. Well, all right. It's been another installment of Outlandish. I just want to say thank you to Don, and I want to say thank you to Ant for dropping by on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, I just want to take a quick second to say rest in peace, Dante. or Tay. He was a real one. We definitely keeping you lifted up in prayer with positive love and energy.
Yep.
Please support our black and brown women. Support black people in general. Let's love and uplift one another. With all these things, we have to keep moving forward. If you go out to the protest, please be safe. And wear a mask and wash your hands, bring hand sanitizer. And then everybody who's an entrepreneur, who's grinding, or anybody who's in a 9 to 5, you have a dream, you have a passion, please chase it. You only get one life. Life is too short. You never know. I just want to say I appreciate y'all, bros. And yeah, tell the people where they can find you on social media.
I'll let the guests go first.
You can follow me at WOP Hefe. That's WOP_YEFE. And from there, you can find my clothing page and my podcast. So,
all right, entrepreneur.
Typical, the only Don Yon, spelled THEDON. I said the THEONLYDONYON, the only Don Yon on Instagram, and you can find me.
For some reason, in my head, I wanted to hit the Rough Riders, like sorry. All right. Well, I appreciate y'all, bros. Y'all be safe, man. Much love. We got to do it again, y'all.
For sure.
Peace.